Hey everyone, thank y'all for joining us for a Beef Brunch news update for Tuesday, March 4th. We're going to redo the order of everything, and we got some new people or a new person on with us today. So Lee has to get on the road to head to Master Cattleman over at the Red River Station, so we're going to let him kick things off for us.
Well, thank you, Ashley. Glad to be with you all here today. Boy, we've kind of had a mixed bag of the spring weather, I guess you could say, for Northwest Louisiana. Had a little bit of cold and some beautiful warm temperatures as well, mixed in with some rain. More rain, and unfortunately, it looks like storms may be popping up coming up later on in the week and everything. As far as it goes, everybody is trying to get into the fields one degree or another, either top dressing some ryegrass with fertilizer. I'm sure Vince will touch on that as he always does. And um, so been a lot of that. Also a lot of spraying going on. People doing some weed control preventative measures on some hay fields. So there's been a lot of that going on as well. There has been some cattle working going on those fall-born calves. So we've seen just a smattering of that, but the mud has really precluded much of that from going on. Ryegrass is starting to look good. Got dinged pretty hard by some cold weather, but it's looking better and better. The clover is starting to become a bigger part of the grazing systems up our way. And it's a good thing that the winter forages and everything are coming on, because hay supplies are getting down a little bit. There's still a lot of hay on the market out there. If you're in need of hay, if you're short of hay and you're worried about finding some, don't let your cows go without, folks. We can lay our hands on plenty of it right now. But I do know that a couple of producers are starting to run a little bit low there and everything. So that being said, I'll jump into the markets. It's been a roller coaster ride as far as the cattle markets go. And been all across the board on stuff. The last time we had this news update, we had experienced just a little bit of a downturn as far as market goes. We had been riding the high horse all the way into town on this deal, and we finally kind of brought ourselves back down to earth just a little bit, only to go right back up on it on this news update. And so with that, I'm going to give y'all what the markets reported as. As a reminder, this is the average of prices in Louisiana. These are self-reported prices. That nobody at these barns that are grading these cattle, folks. So quality can have a huge impact on what this market report consists of and the data that goes into it. Don't get hung up on it, exact numbers on these market reports, folks. Just rather pay attention more to the movement of the market, I guess. That being said, I'll jump straight into it on 500 to 600 pound steers. And so this is from the time period of February 17th to March the 3rd. So on 500 to 600 pound steers, average of the prices paid on cattle was $2.43 per pound to $3.38 per pound. 5 to 6 weight heifers, $2.27 to $3.07 per pound. Cull cows, $1.20 to $1.62 per pound. Cull bulls, $1.32 to $1.85 per pound. On bred cows, the average of the high prices paid by the head is $2,791.67, and average of the highs on pair cattle is $2,980. The change from this report, from last report to this report, the 5 to 6 weight steers experienced a 2.28% increase. 5 to 6 weight heifers, a 0.94% increase. Cull cows, a 6.81% increase. That's pretty considerable. And cull bulls, a 1.27% increase. So, folks, the market's headed in a good direction. We're building a head of steam, moving into the spring again. Use caution. I visited with a group down in Alexandria. Had a great time visiting with them. Ashley did too last week. The Sin-Law Crops and Cattle Forum, and really enjoyed my time down there. And a friend of mine that happened to be in the audience after I gave my market update, he came up to me and he said, "So what you're saying is don't buy anything, be careful with your money right now." And I said, "Yeah, that's essentially it. Maybe I'm being a little bit too pessimistic. It is, but just use caution, folks. It's a lot different this market cycle than the last. In 14, 15, Vince, when we saw those prices up as high as what we did, we saw a lot of new people getting in. I know Vince and I talked about this a lot, where our phones rang off the hook. We were dealing with one new person after another. I'm not seeing that this time around. I am seeing some, and I've talked to some people in ag lending that said they are lending some money on some cattle, but it's mostly to existing customers, existing farmers and ranchers, people that are adding a few head back into the operations. And of course, the demand that you see, the prices on these stock cows, on these bred cows and these pairs, somebody's giving it. Maybe people that have sold some high dollar calves and they're trying to spend a little money and trying to get their stocking rate back up. Maybe they dropped their cow numbers down a little bit from the drought. I don't know. Just use caution, folks. The thing that's going to separate this market cycle from the last one is interest rates, plain and simple. Back then, we borrowed money at 2% or whatever on some cattle purchases. Now, what, 7, 8%, Vince? I hadn't borrowed any on any cattle lately, but yeah, maybe higher than that if you're just starting out and don't have really very good credit. It can hurt you. It can really bite. The difference between 2% and 8% interest is a whole lot when you get stretched out on some 3,500, even some $4,000 pairs. I'm sure that Vince will maybe allude to some of the bull sales. Hadn't been too many, but I've seen a little bit of demand on bulls. Have gotten several questions about bulls and everything like that. And to me, bull prices have yet to catch up with calf prices and with the stock cow. Y'all might disagree with me, but I don't see that they have. So with that being said, Ashley alluded to the fact that we've got Master Cattleman class. Got a really good group, folks, with the Red River Station. Looking forward to that tonight. Going to be our second week of Master Cattleman there. So I'm excited about that. Coming up is our AI class at the Hill Farm Research Station, April the 2nd through the 4th. And I believe we're pretty close to full, folks. If you're interested, you better get on our waiting list. Give any of us a call, and we'll try to get you on there. And finally, April the 24th is our Beef and Forage Field Day at the Hill Farm Research Station as well. And so we're looking forward to that, finalizing the agenda on that. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Ashley.
Thank you. Yeah, I think Miss Kathy said we are full for the AI school, but get on the wait list anyways. We hold the same wait list for here and for Dean Lee, which will be in October, and we just go down the interest or down in order on that interest list or wait list there. I'm going to add on to your market reports because my mind is still blown that we've sold 2 bottle calves off of Dean Lee the last 2 to 3 weeks. One of them brought 500. No, one of them brought 400, and the other one brought 5 or 550 for some bottle, like 3-day-old bottle calves. So
that's a gutsy move there. That is a gutsy move.
I still cannot. One of them, I mean, he was there, but from the days when people just gave those things to me and said, "Here, do what you can to with them," and then now they're bringing that much. One was a pair that she had a bad udder and it was semi-nursing, but we were still having to supplement it, and we split them and sold them. And she brought 1,700, I think, and that was the calf that brought 4. So I still just can't wrap my head around paying that on a bottle calf. But
go price milk replacer.
Do what?
Go price milk replacer.
Yeah. Well, they might have a nurse cow. I mean, that's what I used to do. So potentially, we'll throw that out there. With that, Trip, we'll go ahead and turn it over to y'all.
All right, thank you very much. So if you're watching on YouTube, you might notice we've got a special guest with us. So we're starting Master Cattleman this week. So we're reporting live and loud from the center of the region. We are coming to you live from the mothership, the Macon Ridge Station. And I've got with me Dr. Nitto. So Dr. Nitto has taken the position that Dr. Wink Allison held. Dr. Wink Allison, after a long storied career with the Ag Center, has retired and has been enjoying his retirement. And after a thorough search, we have found somebody to take the reins of the forage agronomist position up here. So I'm going to give him a moment to kind of let him give you a little bit of his story and his background.
So hi everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jose. Like Trip said, Jose Pereira Neto, and you guys can call me Jose. That's so fine. I am an animal scientist that work a lot with forage and grazing system. So especially with the inclusion of legumes, and like this is the thing that I would like to help our farmers and everybody that is growing like legumes or grass at different aspects. So I believe that we can also work with baleage, hay, and also I see a huge potential here in Louisiana, especially in this area here in the Northeast with cover crops. So I can tell you that we have a good spot here, and then I will be glad to work with you, like with everybody that wants to try some different systems. And then, yes, I think that is all that I can say.
All right. Thank you very much, and we'd like to welcome him to the region. I'll tell you what, the little bit I've got to work with him so far, it's been a lot of fun. Look forward to dragging him out on farm calls in the future. Matter of fact, next week he is making his first pilgrimage to Union Parish, so we're looking forward to that. He does have an extension appointment, so producers, feel free to reach out to him with questions, and don't be surprised whenever we have farm visits if he is tagging along with us there. That's one thing about the Ag Center. We have a great team that we come together and can rely on to work through tough issues. And we're very blessed to have the support that we have in the Ag Center. So, last news update, we were coming to y'all from the State Livestock Show. And in the last 2 weeks, we've had all 4 seasons plus some new seasons that got made up. We've been near freezing. We've been wearing shorts and t-shirts. It's everything in between. It's been pretty wet lately, but today we've got some prime drying weather outside. The sun is shining, the wind is blowing, the ground's firming up pretty quick out there, and producers are in the field today. Very curious to see what this weather system that's pushing in tonight is going to bring. That could play spoiler to a lot of people's plans if we get any significant rainfall. I've seen kind of mixed reports on what's expected out of this system that's moving in, but as long as we don't get too much, field work will be able to continue. Field work is really ramped up both on the row crop and the cattle side, like Lee was alluding to. There's been a lot of nitrogen going out. People are looking forward at this point into hay season, and I've been fielding a lot of calls and questions about hay season coming up. Our guys that are cutting and wrapping hay, doing haylage or silage, will be getting started pretty quick, and some of them already have. But dry hay will be getting kicked off sooner than you realize. So now's a good time to, before the season, be going through your equipment and kind of be getting a long range plan on your hay season. Make sure you have the inputs that you need to make the year, and go ahead and get those things secured before they become hard to lay hands on. One thing that we were discussing this morning, the producer and I, was aeration. And he asked if it would benefit him to go ahead right now and aerate his hay fields, because he said he'd been farming this one location for an extended period and hadn't done anything to fight back against compaction. Right now, the ground is too moist. There's too much moisture in the ground to get the full effect of running an aerator across your field. Right now, when it feels like jello, you're going to go through there and you're just going to punch holes. Whereas if you let it firm up a bit, what you're looking for with the aerator is to get some fracturing of that soil profile to increase the water permeation of your soil. So I'd hold off on aerating a little bit, but be getting that on your mind. Like I said, kind of be getting your plan put together for the upcoming hay season. A lot of our spring works over on the east side of the state have already been completed. Like I said, with farmers looking to get in the field, guys that are both row crop and cattle producers, they've got to get that knocked out as quick as they can. And like I alluded to last week, Washita, Union Parish, our hill country guys, some of that cow working will float on till May. Matter of fact, some guys will kind of drag their feet on it to where they can do their spring works and put ear tags in on the same day. Oh, that's another thing to note. Producers will be quickly getting ready to put fly control ear tags in make sure you're following instructions on the ear tag. If it says you can use two, go on and use two. Improper use of fly ear tags is a quick way to develop resistance in horn fly populations. Last year we did pretty good controlling them, but Vince can tell you horror stories of years where we just couldn't get our hands around horn fly control, and a lot of that goes back to using the same chemical classes over and over again. Be aware whenever you do swap chemical classes. In this regard, is in regard to both external parasite control with cattle, armyworm control. If you're needing to swap chemical classes, make sure you're swapping chemical classes. Just because you're swapping chemical names doesn't mean that you're swapping classes. So you can go from a pyrethroid to a pyrethroid and have two different names. So just make sure you know if you're needing to swap classes that you are in fact doing that. Guys, that's a pretty quick rundown of the Northeast region. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the baton on back to Ashley.
Thank you, Trip. And I don't know if Dr. Jose's still there, but tell him thank you for jumping on with us. Oh, there you are. I love how that pops up really fast. We appreciate having you on today and look forward to working with you in the future.
Yes, Ashley, thank you for.
We have a list of things ready for you to go. I'm sure Mateus and Marcelo have told you we're ready for
yes.
it.
Don't scare him off. Don't scare him off.
Vince, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Ashley. What great reports from Lee and Trip, and you know, it's been a roller coaster, as Lee alluded to, on the weather. You know, we're in the mid-20s last Wednesday and Thursday, with wind blowing out of the north that you couldn't hardly stand to be outside. Saturday it started to alleviate, Saturday last week, and then through early Sunday, Monday was just a torrential rainfall event. We didn't get a lot of rain, but it rained all day, and cows that are calving in this mess. And I know I can speak from experience because I had a couple of tragedies last Sunday into Monday and Tuesday, and Ashley was alluding to an orphan calf, and I had one cow that had lost a calf the week prior, and thank God we grafted one on to her, and she's gladly taken care of it. But it's just even young cows that, you know, with this, you know, environmental conditions that are not just in order, they're in the mud. You know, these are cows that had calves, they just left them behind. So when you're dealing with those kind of situations, it's important that you check in on these animals, you know, morning and night, because a lot of things can happen quickly, and you just can't justify if you have any kind of death loss that you could have prevented possibly. So it's important that you be out there. And I know I have some friends and family that work some of this oil field work and are gone for 14 days. I just can't fathom how they can be in the cattle business and not be bothered with it and worried with it the whole time that they're away, you know, trying to feed their families. I understand that, but being in the cattle business and not paying attention to them, as Lee alluded to, the prices that we're faced with right now, it's hard to justify losing anything whenever you can prevent it. So be aware of your calving dates. We always talk about being prepared with chains, OB jacks, the gloves, the lube, everything you need. If something's off again, I said this last time, if they're off by themselves, there's a problem. Either they have a calf or trying to have a calf. So be aware of that. Lee alluded to bulls. I talked about bull prices last time we met 2 weeks ago, and it's, you know, the days of those $25 and even $3,500 bulls are behind us. You know, he said that they haven't caught up to what the cow prices are doing, but still, it's going to cost you to have that good bull. And if you're getting into the breeding season, which most everybody's going to be pulling their bulls here shortly for a 60-day or 45-day period before putting those bulls out again in April and May and June, it's time to reevaluate. And if you need a bull, you know, there are some bull sales coming up. I know the Hereford Association has a sale coming up in April. The Beefmaster Association has a sale coming up here, I think, in the next couple of weeks at Dean Lee. But yeah, so if you're looking for replacement bulls, it's time to get in the market, because the good ones are going to be good, and the not so good ones, you know, if there is such a thing, the prices are just so darn high. You better make the right selections. And I looked at a little post on social media today, and knowing the cow's background, knowing the cow family behind these bulls that you're buying is utterly important about, you know, their fleshing ability, their milking ability, and their, you know, the docility behind them. So if you can take a little time and study what you're buying, it's utterly most important for you to have that good docile calf crop that's going to put fleshing on easy, and do the math, and do the research. We're selling pounds, we're not selling heads. So if you're making, you have a smaller herd and you want to make more pounds, make sure you do the research into the bull purchase, as Lee alluded to. Being careful with your money, not overspending, but spending the right amount of money for the right bull is critical in today's market. So be careful of that. We talked about ryegrass, Lee did, and also Trip. Our ryegrass area in central and south Louisiana is really flourishing right now. We're seeing a lot of clover coming on. And yes, we're top dressing some ryegrass. A lot of folks have done that probably in early February. There's still some of that. I had a call visit with a couple of people at the local feed store late last week. So there's still some ryegrass yet to be top dressed because we were so wet, and people just couldn't justify rutting it up, getting in there with a tractor and a buggy, in the last 10 days or so. But we've had some really nice sunshine and wind the last 3 days, and up until today, the sun's shining out brightly. But tomorrow they're giving, that weather event that's coming across the state with, near 50-mile-an-hour winds. That's near hurricane force winds. So, with the holiday, the Mardi Gras holiday and festivities going on, there's a lot of concern for a lot of people out there. So it's going to be a challenging day with some thunderstorms and some awful weather coming through with the wind and chance of tornadoes and possibly some hail with isolated thunderstorms. So we just need to be careful of that. Again, the hay fields, we've had a number of calls and people interested in getting some weed control and weed management going. Visited one grower out on the western side of the state towards Beauregard, Vernon Parish, one of the chemical dealers there. They're trying to get ahead of some poverty rush that Dr. Strahan and I communicated on. We're a little late for that, but we see it in a lot of our prairie type ground. It's in the Juncus family. It makes that some people call it red top. It's in the Juncus family. It's a sedge, but permit is a good option for that to get some control. But we've come to the conclusion that February is the month to do that, and we're now into March. So we still may have some time, but the ground conditions have been so wet, we just can't get those herbicide applications out like we need to. There's a lot of bull thistle coming, a lot of horse nettle. If we continue to get some warm conditions, we'll have those troublesome weeds, dog fennel. It'll be time to make some herbicide applications on pastures and hay fields as soon as the ground conditions will allow. So if you have any questions or concerns, if you're watching today, please reach out to your local extension agent or one of us. We sure can help you and give you some direction on where you need to go as far as getting that early application of herbicide out to manage some pastures. It's critical that you get the pounds out of these cattle today because Lee went over the market and what things are selling for. It's pretty astronomical. I know in my years of being in the agricultural industry and being a cow-calf producer, I can't wait to sell my fall calves coming up here in April and May. So it's just, I hope that market sustains and continues moving forward and stays where it's at. So with that, I think I'm going to wrap up there. And if you have questions on fertility moving forward, it's important that we do some soil sampling. A lot of folks that marginally making fertilizer applications on lower pH soils. Take those soil samples and make your money justified. If you got to put some lime out, again, at the end of the day, it's selling pounds. And if you're not raising the grass, you're not selling the pounds. So be careful of throwing good money after bad when you're getting 30-40% efficiency on your fertilizer application. So it's important that you get that application and efficiency up to 50% to 75% and 100% if you can on better soils. So with that, I'll close and hope for some better March weather and that we don't have that saturated conditions like we experienced the last, I guess it's 3 or 4 weeks now, but it's been rubber boot weather for sure.
Thank you, Vint. Yeah, I hope tomorrow's not nearly as bad as they're predicting throughout the state. Going into some of our events, so Master Cattleman, we've been talking about them. They've been kicking off throughout the state, and I'll talk about those kind of in order as we have them. But we do also have our Beginner Cattleman up in advertised. So the Beginner Cattleman program is 5 different workshops. That is going to kick off April 11th, will be the first workshop. I've linked the website in here, Beginner Cattleman, on our beef cattle can't use my words, beef cattle website for lsuagcenter.com. But I've got that link here. So the workshops from Fridays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Those are going to be April 11th, May 16th, June 20th, July 18th, and August 15th. Those are at a few different locations in the southeast part of the state. All of that is online, and I can email that to you as well if you would like. Registration is $250, and that registration form and everything is online. Again, I can email it to you. We're asking that those be turned in by March 28th. So this program is generally targeted at producers with 10 years of experience or less, or none. I think sometimes we have at least a handful of people that are just now purchasing land and wanting to get started in the beef cattle industry. And so I know the guy said it earlier. I feel like I shouldn't even be advertising this when we talk about how expensive it is to buy cattle. But for those of you that have just gotten started in the last few years, we'll cover everything from cattle handling facilities and equipment, soil health, as Vince was just talking about, forage production, hay production, a general management calendar, nutrition and repro. The minimum age for that is going to be 16. So 16 is our minimum age for any of our producer programs. Trip just put that question in the chat. So yeah, minimum age is 16 for the Beginner Cattleman program. Again, those are all on Fridays. Everything's online, and I've linked that there. As Vince also alluded to, we've got some breeding soundness exam days coming up to tie in with needing those bulls for the spring breeding season. So we've been mentioning both of these. Lanie and Brittany have theirs coming up at Dominique's this Thursday, March 7th. So if you want to get in last minute on that, please contact one of them. Their numbers are listed in the video description. And then Tyler Barlow has his in Alexandria at Thomson Vet Services, which is right there by the campus, by the LSUA campus. And that is going to be on March 17th. So for both of those breeding soundness exam days, you do need to contact those agents to get an appointment for those. The Acadiana Producers Spring Field Day will be on Saturday, March 15th. To RSVP, it's free, but to RSVP, I've got Lanie, Abigail, and Blair's contact information all listed so that we can get an appropriate head count for lunch. Registration and check-in will be at 8 a.m. for that. Master Cattlemans that are still signing up. So Trip, I don't know if you're taking anybody last minute. You're kicking off today, but you're full. Okay. Brittany and Tyler Barlow, we're trying to get last minute head count. So if you're interested in the Central Region one that kicks off, I think next week with me, y'all get a hold of Brittany and Tyler Barlow. Their information is here. Lanie and Abigail's will kick off for Vermilion Parish on March 17th. So again, get with them because they were trying to get a final head count when I was visiting with them earlier. The Southeast region with Dr. Hay will be at the St. Helena Extension office, and that one is going to kick off April 7th. So his information there is for that registration. And then Bradley Poussin will have one in the Cameron and Calcasieu Parish areas. I think it's moving locations depending on what they're teaching each night. It starts May 1st, and so you can get the registration form online or from him as well. So again, if you're interested in Master Cattleman, look online, reach out to me or one of the agents, and we'll get you that information. Trip, your youth beef and forage field day, do you want to speak on that really quick?
I sure can. So our youth beef and forage field day is coming up on the 19th this month. We did have one slight programming change. We swapped out the fence building lesson for a animal ID, calf processing, vet skills type lesson. The reason being, it has been pretty waterlogged up here in this part of the state. So punching holes to build fences, guaranteeing that we'd be able to be out there in the open areas was a little bit hairy. So we made a program that was more transportable. So if we need to go into the church gym, that one transports a little bit easier. But we're going to be doing that. There's also going to be a really unique forage lesson along with it. And Dr. Edwards is doing bovine reproduction. So that's going to be a pretty cool, all-encompassing little program there. And to cap it off, we're going to be doing some in-product work with food safety and ground beef. Going to be making hamburgers. So if you are interested in attending, reach out to me. I'll help get you signed up for it. I'll point you in a direction to get signed up. We have about 20 spots still available. So if any of our local 4-Hers are interested in coming, or if you have you're an FFA teacher that has a small class that would like to come, we still have a few spots that are open and available for that. But like I said, I wouldn't wait because it's filling up pretty quickly.
I'm excited. I'm ready.
It's going to be a blast.
That will be fun. Yeah, reach out to Trip. As he said, space is limited. We've already got a big group coming, and it'll be good. I think we're gonna use a fake repro track, so I won't gross them out before we do the hamburgers, but it'll be fun. Then Lee mentioned our Beef and Forage Field Day at the Hill Farm Research Station. So that's our Northwest Beef and Forage Field Day on Thursday, April 24th. That kicks off, I think, at 8 or 8:30 that morning. And then we're going to go ahead and put it on your calendar for Thursday, June 12th at Dodson Ranch in Coshada. They're doing an LSU Ag Center hay day. So it's going to be a big, just forage, no cattle, all forage talks and hay production there at Dodson Ranch. And you'll RSVP to the Red River Extension office for that. So again, I know I keep saying it, we're busy. Every time I look at my calendar, I get a little anxious and excited all at the same time. It's going to be a really fun spring. We've got a lot going on, but we're always here for the farm visits and whatever else you need us for. With that, anybody else have anything to add? Okay, then we will see y'all again in 2 weeks.